Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be Yarg. I be your captain, Charlie the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is me skinny rich friend and first mate.
It's Mozz.
Yes, I don't know if you hear my echo in the background there, but he is. He's having fun being himself. In a world of Capes and Lunatics, gods and monsters, there are times where there are threats that you must face, and when you face them, you're going to need a good lawyer. Enter She-Hulk, attorney at law, or in this case, just Jen. Jen is a bridesmaid in a friend's wedding, a stressful event compounded by uniquely She-Hulk issues. Our writers this week are Kara Brown and Jessica Gao, created for television by credits there. For them, John Buscema, along with Stan Lee, will get that She-Hulk created by credit. Dana Schwartz and Cody Ziegler, hardest working people in show business. They are our staff writers this week, Mozzy. So this is an interesting episode coming on the heels of our last episode. To be fair, last episode, of course, was her big trial, the trial of Titania, which she won masterfully, of course, by pointing out that she had been utilizing the She-Hulk identity to go on dates
This whole time,
yes. It's an interesting aspect of this story where we have we have the fact, and this gives to one of the most interesting questions about superhumanity. And when you have this transformation, which is, when you are one person and then you transform into another person, how does that alter your sense of who you are? Especially when you can change back and forth as the moment needs. Because we do see in that this idea of the She-Hulk identity becoming its own thing. And that's something we're going to explore over this episode and next episode. Because, of course, She-Hulk gets invited to a friend's wedding to be a bridesmaid, as you do. And she shows up as She-Hulk, and her friend tells her, "Don't, not at my special day." Which I guess is fair. I guess arguably it is a fair statement to make that, I don't want someone stealing the spotlight from me. But at the same time, a little suspicious, I guess. But we'll deal with that. And as Jen said, this was the one time she really wanted to be seen as She-Hulk. This was the one time where she felt, and again, speaking of the dating profile, isn't necessarily true. But it was where she really wanted everyone to look at her and respect all that she has accomplished, even if she doesn't have a boyfriend.
Right. It was kind of like a high school reunion at this point. Like, where is everybody now? Look at me. This is where I am,
Yeah, but all anyone cared about was,
And it's surprising how mean they treated her, considering they all know she's She-Hulk. She's not in Hulk form right now, but like, it's beyond me that people would be that, it just doesn't, I don't buy it that somebody would be that mean to somebody that they know could Hulk out at any second.
I mean, I agree without a doubt. To be fair, I mean, it is just an odd situation. Everything about the situation is a little odd, which is what led a lot of the conspiracy bros online to start questioning if this was even a real wedding. They did have the Untitled Hulk there, and so that does imply some authenticity, but maybe less so. The fact that we never meet Lulu's bride or Lulu's husband, the whole making her walk down the aisle with Jonathan, and to the fact that we never actually even see the wedding. We assumed that we saw that a wedding occurred because we see Jen in her bridesmaid gown and we see the reception. Cash bar reception, by the way. So just really high class there, if you're going to have the bar, you should have, drinks available. But, that's just my opinion.
Do you think it was the showrunners just saying, whatever, just put them somewhere? Or do you think there's a good logical reason for it?
For what? Ched or?
No, the whole weirdness and strangeness of this entire wedding.
Oh, no, I think there's see, that's the thing. Because it could just be, no, these kinds of weddings exist. That a wedding on a Thursday for, and it could also be her friend putting on airs as best as she can because there's a budget, and saying it'll be a cash bar, but we want to have it at the venue,
Right.
Like we could do a better venue where we could give a full bar, but I need to have the fancy venue, So I can see it as an argument to be made that Lulu just wanted the Instagrammable wedding, not necessarily the enjoyable wedding.
Right.
Whereas you can have a much better wedding, at the VFW hall, but that will be less Instagrammable,
Right.
And I think that may be the case, and that may be a very Californian thing, Just some theories on that. Whether or not the whole wedding is a sham, I don't know. I mean, we do never see her groom. We do never get beyond a certain point. And of course, we do meet Josh here.
Right.
The too good to be true guy who just wants to hang with sloppy drunk Jen, which is, and honestly, not for nothing, that's a big red flag too, because we do see Jen go with those $12 drinks, multiple $12 drinks, and obviously, not for nothing, as much as she eye rolls at a cash bar, she obviously knew it was going to be a cash bar because she has the money on her,
right? And she tips.
Yes, tips nicely.
Everything.
And it just.
Although I assume she was just ordering two, doubles and leaving a $2 tip. That's what I assumed, right?
Possibly.
Because he said it was $5, and if you leave 12, I'm assuming you ordered a double and you're leaving a $2 tip.
Yeah, that would make
especially
sense.
per drink. That would make more sense if she's popping down, 12 every time.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm guessing. Well, actually, yeah, because it was technically. I think. I want to say he said 4.
I thought he said $5, and she kept dropping 12.
Okay. Well, either way,
by saying a heavy pour, buddy. He's like, all right, you're looking for a double. That's.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely having fun and getting drunk at her friend's wedding. And that's the thing is that at the end of the day, it is what it is. But it is very interesting how everything happens. We have Titania showing up at the wedding, which is, of course, makes Jen seem even more paranoid. And that's what I think is most interesting about this episode, and maybe the next episode as well, is this urge to gaslight Jen, as it were. As far as the idea of, making her doubt herself. Not that she is, but it is just sort of like she is, why is Titania here? Why is, and of course, in that moment, Lulu's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Titania came to her wedding. Much in the same way that she was so excited that She-Hulk is at her wedding later.
Right.
Even though
she's pretty drunk. She looked like she just came from her husband saying, I'm having cold feet, I'm leaving, and her getting smashed drunk and saying, the whole thing's over anyway. Oh, She-Hulk is here. That's the feeling I got in that moment.
Yeah, well, I do feel this is the after party. So I do think they did get married.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. I mean, this could be the pre-reception. I don't know, because she's in her bridesmaid's dress. That's why usually you don't drink before the wedding, for obvious reasons. And then you also have just the thing that maybe they got married elsewhere and then they're coming here for the reception. Because obviously no one cares about the wedding. Everyone cares about the reception. So, either way, but in this moment, but it is that interesting parallel between when she comes in as Jen and she says, please just be Jen. And then there is an outfit change, which is again why I think that there must have been a wedding that occurred. She has the outfit change. She is in her bridesmaid's gown now, which I also find interesting because it's also cut to be a Jen to She-Hulk gown, except for the shoes. Because you'll see that all of the clothes that she wears now are super baggy and frumpy, which just makes, Tatiana Maslany look all the tinier inside of it, which is a nice visual as well. Nothing is tailored to Tatiana because she has to be ready to be She-Hulk, and it has to be tailored to She-Hulk. So she's getting hammered, and Josh rolls up to say to this again, like I said, obviously drunk lady. I think you look pretty cool yourself, And when she's doing her little, this is the one time I wanted to be, incredible.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you're pretty cool as Jen, which is nice. It's a very sweet thing, but it does raise some immediate flags. Meanwhile, back at GLK&H, Mr. Immortal, Craig Hollis, is dealing with his ex-wives. And he does have a few of them. Yeah. And again, this is much like the Wrecking Crew earlier, they kind of do him dirty, from the comic book character. But you can't live your life based on what the comic book characters were.
Sure.
Talking about Mr. Immortal, yeah. Well, I will get to the kid in a minute. So yes, as Tristan and I discussed, so Mr. Immortal in the comics, he's actually a pretty decent person. He has a superpower, but he does want to do good. But he also has this, his superpower has only limited value because, you can kill him and he comes back. And he just keeps on coming back. But at the same time, being, it is something that, it's useful, but it's also not very useful as an aggressive power. So,
yeah, I feel like he could farm himself out for legal purposes, sign me up to be the owner of your, company. And when everything gets in trouble, I just kill myself and all the debts are forgiven. Yeah. And now you can start a brand new company or something like,
Well, you see, and that's the weird thing about it, because he's like, he does die.
Right. And but legally, everything is kosher because these ladies have to fight to get, something from him.
Well, but the thing is, I don't know if he's ever declared dead. That's his problem. You see, he can die, and he does die, But if you're not declared dead, then you didn't actually
I'm sure
die.
by this time in your life, you have a guy, right? Where every time you're about to do it, he shows up there with like a little stopwatch and a clipboard going, I'm announcing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, one hopes, although what we see him do doesn't seem to, because he just literally jumps out the window rather than deal with the Mallory's questions and judgment.
Right.
Although I do like
how she has to like settle him. Come on, no, not again. No, sit down. We're gonna get through this.
Yeah. Although I did like the statement that, I'm feeling a lot of judgment here. It's like, aren't you supposed to be on my side? It's like, no, we just have to defend you. We don't have to like you, which I think is a very good point, that, they will defend you, but no, they absolutely do not have to like you. They may even think, this is the thing about an adversarial legal system. Someone is wrong, and usually the people who are in the wrong know they're in the wrong. It's just like, if everyone was perfectly honest, you would not need to have a legal system, because you would say, did you do this? And they'd say, yeah, I did it. You caught me. But in this case, and as they point out, that this could be actual criminal charges. And there's even a very interesting question raised in this about, was there life insurance involved? Which again would be fraud if he was making that claim of what do you call it? If he was making that claim of on that life insurance policy.
Right. He was claiming a death benefit off of it. I mean, but at the same time, technically speaking, everything in the provisions came to pass, and he is owed that money, or someone is owed that money.
Well, yeah, arguably, I mean, that's the thing. Oh, that was an interesting thing, and we'll get to that in the next issue, in a minute. But, as superhumans become more and more the thing, how many more riders get written into contracts? How many more changes get put into, rules of business? Because now we have to consider, the likelihood that a Hulk is going to smash your car. Yeah. And the reality is that obviously you get into this weird spot where it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you live in New York City. That's superhero central. There is an additional cost because there's a good chance a superhero is going to smash your car. We're still going to cover it, but just understand that we are understanding that you're living in Midtown Manhattan. Mm-hmm. This place is prone for super heroic shenanigans.
Every 5 years there's a Super Bowl of superhero death matches.
Exactly. So anyway, but in this moment, it doesn't seem like he's doing that. He does have to make amends to his 8 wives.
Yeah, I'm amazed one of them is willing to accept a 45-second apology. She's like, oh, that's good enough.
Well, if she only gave so much,
fair enough,
to the relationship, and maybe she has her own money,
Yeah, that, and she's probably, I'm sure, surely getting a piece of whatever the settlement money they can.
Yeah. But that's and the idea is that honest apology was interminable to Mr. Immortal. Because he may have all the time in the world, but he does not want to waste any on, having to account for his own, his own, shenanigans. But, it was pointed out that he does have a kid. So maybe that's the Craig Hollis who becomes the Mr. Immortal, who is the adventurer, who is the positive. So we're going to hope for that. And we'll revisit that later. Back at the party, we have Titania coming in and
catching her by herself outside.
Yeah, right? Catching her by herself outside because she is having a technical yawn, as they say. Because it's funny, of course, because She-Hulk, Jen tells Josh that, she'd like to show him, but she can't do it here. And then she's, oh no, it's about to happen. And there's a moment where you think, oh my gosh, she's just going to turn into She-Hulk and she can't control it anymore. But no, she just has to throw up. And so she goes, throws up in the begonias. And then Titania comes and smacks her one.
Now, she was in Gen form, not Hulk form, and she got smashed in the mouth so hard that she flew about 25 feet. And she didn't break any of her facial bones or her teeth.
Yeah, well, I have to imagine that there is some amount of Hulkness always active, That's the idea. And to be fair, when She-Hulk was throwing the Wrecking Crew around, who arguably just had, the weapons, the Asgardian weapons, that was their only strength enhancement, but they still managed to survive just fine.
Yeah.
So one can imagine that, at a certain level, you're okay, even as you're getting smacked around. But yeah, and also you imagine that you also imagine that Titania is pulling her punches a bit. Because she knows she's in. Well, because she's in.
That's right. Because she says, "Come on, I want to fight the Gen."
Yeah,
the Hulk. Right. That's
yeah.
Good, yeah.
It's no fun if you're not She-Hulk.
Right. Like I didn't come here to fight you, little girl.
Exactly. Because there's no glory in it.
Yeah. Send your big sister out. That's who I came to see.
Yes. And it is a fun little fight, where she's like, okay. And again, just the fact that Jen is still really drunk. Although I do like, when she does the seismic kick. Because you can see that she's like looking and she's waiting for it to get into the right spot and then closes her eyes, does the transformation, and then smack and throws Titania flying. And you do get a couple of punches exchanged, but then, which I think is the perfect way to end it, is Titania falls on, and Titania falls on her face. Yeah, slips on a piece of ice and falls on her face and knocks off her veneers. Although I do wonder if maybe her veneers were already loose, but it just gets her up and, and now you're seeing the fat lip coming in, her eyelashes are askew, and you see, this, people are taking pictures and, obviously posting that and her yelling at them, oh, you're posting that for your 10 followers, but, and this I think is one of the most important things, again, about how the world has changed, because she was, as she said, as she is described, a superpowered influencer, which means that she started doing things as a superpowered person to gain the likes, to gain the following, to build her empire. But her empire is built on her being Titania, the strong, sexy, outrageous woman. And now she keeps on getting smacked around by She-Hulk. It really hurts her brand.
Yeah, but I mean, like, she asked for it. She showed up there looking to get embarrassed. I don't understand it. How did she know She-Hulk was? She knows she's like a semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic powered being, not a phenomenal cosmic powered being,
Yeah, well, and again, it's this idea, I think, that it's about her image. She has to present her image appropriately. She has to make sure.
It just doesn't seem like a logical choice if that's your intention, is to prevent your image, is to stay as far away from somebody that's obviously going to beat the hell out of you. And it just.
Well, there's two levels to it. One can imagine there is a business level where maybe she's getting, trolled. It's like, Titania, she can't even beat She-Hulk. She-Hulk, wiped the floor with her, yada, 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 where she's dealing with that. And then there's the other real possibility that, there's a part of her that just feels like she has to prove herself. Jamila Jamil did make the point that, they are keeping with the original origin, concept in the idea that, what's her name? That Titania actually was this little scrawny girl who got picked on a lot and bullied a lot and sort of has become a bully herself now that she has the power. So that in her mind, she can't allow herself to be bullied. She has to fight back, even though she's becoming more the bully because of it, you know?
That's an unfortunate character flaw.
Yeah, well, but that's her character flaw. And that is inconsistent with the comics, you know? That is who she is. After all that,
watching like the precariously put together art installation that was her face fall apart at a slight nudge was really, really enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that is the point, is that she is a manufactured image. She is built out of nothing, if you will. And so, you know, she comes from nothing, she goes to nothing. And that is honestly the terrifying truth of her life, I think, that she has gotten where she needs to be, but that on a certain level, it can all be taken away in a moment's notice because she has to deal with.
And I guess in that moment, like, her followers are represented by Lulu, right? And she comes in, she goes, "Oh, well, you're the queen now. Oh, She-Hulk is here." Before she was like, "Oh, Titania is here." So
exactly,
it's almost like that immediately represents you lost all your followership to She-Hulk in that moment.
Yeah, and I do think that is probably part of the point of it. You know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, we finish up with her and Josh getting fries, which are delightful. But then we do pan out and we do see the intelligentsia are watching everything, which is why people think that this might have been a sham wedding or a staged event just to move us forward.
Yeah, but if that were the case, like, they had so many chances to attack her while she was in Gen form, but they're using this to make us think suspicious thoughts about everything, which is kind of cool.
Well, yeah, exactly, and I think that is the deeper point, is that, you know, and the thing is, they tried jumping Jen, and she hulked out, and here they realize that no matter how drunk Jen gets, she can still hulk out.
Yeah, but like that's what made me feel like it wasn't a sham, because things were orchestrated to sort of get her to be Jen. They were trying to like piss her off and make her hulk out. "Oh, you're the cleaning lady now. Oh, you're the iron duty now. Oh, you get to walk with the dog." Ha 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 ha. You know, they were just like needling her. And I was like, okay, if they wanted her blood or whatever, or if they wanted to kill her, they would try to do it now. They wouldn't be waiting for the Hulk to show up.
Yeah. Well, but again, it goes into this idea of, so as an example, the last time they tried to get her blood, it was to, what's the word I'm looking for? It was to jump her. And suddenly she could become the Hulk. So immediately the question becomes, if you can control how you can become a Hulk, how do you, what are the situations in which we could get her to be the Hulk, you know? And then, I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, that this is a reconnaissance operation more than a actual get her blood operation.
Yeah,
which also
these guys don't seem like the reconnaissance types. These are internet, you know, sleuths.
The guys on the screen are, but that doesn't mean Hulk King is, because this is also where we learn about Hulk King, who's the person who runs the intelligentsia site.
I bet you it's going to be some nerd in a basement.
It might be, but it might be an obsessed nerd who is planning.
But that would be hilarious.
I mean, it could be Amadeus Cho, quite frankly. You know, and you know, that's like that dark backwards version of Amadeus. But, you could do that where the eighth shortest man in the world has decided, because he's also a teenager, has decided to formulate his life around defeating the She-Hulk, in the same way that the comics version dedicated his life to save the Hulk. But he was also very negative on other superheroes, except for the Hulk. So there's some stuff there. There's a lot that they could do with who this character is. We're going to have to see where it goes. All right. Any final thoughts on today's episode, Mozz?
No, I pretty much dug it. It was nice to see her assistant get some shine for managing all the wives and getting them everything that they wanted and finding an amicable solution to everything, and how proud of her boss was. And I was a little surprised that she let her take the reins like that, because often she was like, no, that's too much. But their relationship is interesting and kind of nice to see as well.
Yeah, I like the softer Mallory book that we're getting in this universe.
I'm a little like I feel like I shouldn't like it because she's supposed to be the tough, nobody gets any kudos from me, but she's giving out kudos a little too liberally. Maybe I do feel that.
I mean, I can definitely see that argument being made as well, but I think that maybe it is meant to be. She doesn't give kudos, but you know what? These two really are at the top of their game, Yeah. And maybe even that, Nikki is more at the top of her game than maybe Jen is at the top of her game, kind of a thing. So if anyone else has opinions on who's at the top of their own game, they can write us at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. That's capes and all spelled out lunatics, all one word, @gmail.com. Send us your thoughts. Send us your opinions. Send us your concerns about how do you get She-Hulk blood. You can do that at that email. You can also call us if writing is too much effort and just speak your mind. Speak your mind. We'll even play it on the air if you want at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Speak your mind. We will play it. We love to hear from all of our viewers and listeners and the like. And likewise, go into the show notes. Click on Linktree. That's linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics, where you can get all kinds of merch, t-shirts, aluminium mugs that keep your drinks cold all night, and whatever else you want. You can also connect to all of our show notes, all of our shows. And give us just money. If you just want to give us money via Patreon, we would love that. And you can be a patron and you can vote on the worst superhero movies of all time. Just recently we did The Phantom versus the Spirit, and that was exciting. And Mozz, if people would just like to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Well, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things when I can. At Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssser. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality.
Ding. Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties, you've come to the end of another exciting adventure. Please tune in again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.